performing in front of hundreds, thousands of adoring fans. That's good for the ego.
That's great for the ego.
You've been doing these theater tours. We got 6,000 people here tonight, by the way.
6,000 people,
yeah.
I like it.
Most of them are submerged underwater. We've got submarine units with closed captioning.
Different units, I like it.
But I saw you at the Capitol Theater in Portchester last month.
Yes.
The historic Capitol just reopened, home to Pink Floyd, Janis Joplin, the Grateful Dead played there. How cool is that to be on the same stage?
It's amazing, and I think that was Jerry Garcia's one of his favorite theaters.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I went up there and did diarrhea jokes. So it made sense in a lot of ways. Great musical heritage, and a guy who talks about food and diarrhea.
From dire wolf to diarrhea, which is a joke that only deadheads will understand. You know, this place, Jim, used to be a horse stable, so...
It's amazing. I showed up early and I was out there taking pictures of the bridge because I'm still just the hick. I'm like, look at that bridge!
Yeah.
Look at the bridge! There's a bridge! I gotta get a picture of that bridge!
Did you tweet the pictures?
I put it on my Instagram.
Dad's on an Instagram yet. He's not there yet.
I'm doing a lot of... How many social networking things are there going to be?
I'm not doing Instagram.
There should just be a social networking thing. It's just like talking to people.
Yeah.
It's just interacting.
The talk
to a friend.
Right.
But we won't even do that. We'll make it into a show. It'll just be like, we'll talk to each other. And that'll be called a podcast.
Yeah. We have those now. Unbelievable. But it's funny you mentioned at the bridge because you write about it in your book here, you're a Midwestern guy originally,
yes.
but you've been in the city for a long time. And you say that you feel like you belong in New York City, but you don't fit in to New York City?
Well, I've lived here for 210 years. No, I've lived here for 20 years, but I've lived here long enough to forget how truly white bread I am. You know, I'll be on the subway and I'll see some tourists from Iowa and I'll be like, check out those people. Oh, that's exactly what I look like. You know? And every time you know when you fly into LaGuardia or JFK or Newark and there's those guys that they're like, hey, you want to ride? You need a taxi? It's like when they see me, because I look like such a tourist, they get like really excited. They're like, oh my gosh, are you from Texas? Would you like a ride? And I'm like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah. For you, $400. Yeah.
I could be going like 4 blocks and a cab driver will be like, oh, would you like to go over the George Washington Bridge? I'm like, yeah, can we swing by LaGuardia? I want to get some groceries too. Just because I'm blonde and good looking. That last part's not supposed to be funny. But it is funny.
They love it. And you're not just, you're living on the Bowery of New York City. You're not Upper West, Upper East.
Bowery, which is where they make the homeless people.
That's right.
They've got a factory. It's right near where they make the heroin addicts. And
Hobos amalgamated. Yeah.
No, but I love it. And you know, everyone has moved to Brooklyn, and I know here we are in Brooklyn, and I love Brooklyn, but it's a crisis. It's kind of a crisis coming here because, you know, everyone's like, Brooklyn, all you have to do is take one subway stop and walk for two days. I've got my own car, I've got my own yard, I've got my own zip code, you know. And so I always end up doing a car service, not like a fancy car service. It's like there's a car and no service whatsoever. You know, you call up the guy and you're like, yeah, I'd like to get a car, and they're like, 5 minutes. Hello? Hello? And then you just go and stand in front of your building. You don't even know what car you're looking for. You're like, that's a car? Because, you know, it's not like they're going to show up in a Lincoln Town Car. Sometimes it's like a dune buggy. You just get into the car, and sometimes you're in the wrong car. Have you ever done that? You get in there and they're like, how much weed do you want? And you're like, I don't want any. You never know what they're going to charge you, right?
Oh, no.
You'll get there and you'll be like, how much, you know, and also they always act like they know where they're going. You're like, I need to go to Dumbo, to Main Street, like, and then you're on the Manhattan Bridge and they're like, oh, what is Brooklyn? You said you knew where you were going. But you never know what they're gonna charge you, right? You get there and you're like, how much do I owe you? And they're like,
What do you got?
Rip me off. Like $30,000. I'm always like, I always tell myself, well, then he's not getting a tip.
Yeah.
You know, when someone's ripping you off, you're like, well, they're not getting a tip.
Yeah. You'll pay the 30 grand, but on a penny over.
But in the end, I'm always like, all right, I'll tip you. I don't. We're all working here. What's 20% of 30 grand?